Oh, man. Luke, I got to toss a little nostalgia your way.
Hit me with it.
One of our new sections that I'm really excited about, we are going to be looking back at things that have made us feel good, warm and fuzzy in the past. And today, I want to talk to you about cartoons.
Cartoons.
Cartoons. You remember those potatoes?
I wasn't a cartoons guy.
You a
no.
I was a
Disney guy?
Discovery Channel guy.
You were a
Sorry.
Discovery Channel guy. You were a little science geek.
I was studying all the time.
Love it. I know that's not true. Anyway, it was funny. I was originally going to do an Ed, Edd and Eddy sequence just because this all came up. A friend of mine, we were talking about the Warner Brothers movies that were coming out, and he's like, yeah, Ed, Edd and Eddy, the Apocalypse or something like that. And I was like, wait, they're making a feature film about Ed, Edd and Eddy? And I Googled it. He's like, got you. So
Got you good.
But then I started thinking about Ed, Edd and Eddy, and I kind of went down this rabbit hole. So I'm just going to kind of run through this really quickly.
Yeah.
Because it was actually super fascinating. But Cartoon Network, so Cartoons was a sequence of originals that Cartoon Network put on. And Cartoon Network was founded in 1992. And within they were just playing old cartoons, right? And they just kind of a space on a network to do cartoons that ran in the
Like Looney Tunes and stuff.
Yeah, old stuff like that. But they essentially wanted to commission their own sequence of cartoons, and this line ended up generating some of the most defining cartoons of our generation. Cartoon Network was originally airing the old stuff, and then it was 1996, I believe, that they started doing these other ones. Do you guys know what the first one was? I know you've seen it.
Cartoon Network. I mean, that always comes back to Dexter's Lab. Like,
You nailed it.
is it?
That was it. Dexter's Lab was the first cartoons.
Really?
Yeah, and
Oh.
it was really cool because they just commissioned all of these pilots, and then they'd launch them, and then they'd go out. And so just listen to some of the other cartoon shows that they launched, right? Dexter's Lab was first. Johnny Bravo.
Oh, great.
Cow and Chicken. I Am Weasel. The Powerpuff Girls. Ed, Edd and Eddy. Courage the Cowardly Dog. There's some other ones in here that are less known, but then you get into like the last golden era, which was like Codename Kids Next Door, which I was really big into, and the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, which was great.
Yeah, I was more on the front end of those, and those few that you mentioned at the end, like I was like,
Yeah.
I kind of stopped watching at that point.
I have to ask, do you like little? I want to just get into these. Like, which ones do you like? But like, funny thing is, like, do you remember the name? Do you know what the Powerpuff Girls' names are? Can you name the Powerpuff Girls?
Yeah, there's sugar, spice, and everything nice.
Close.
No,
That's
it's there's Bubbles, there's Buttercup, and the redhead.
classic. That's how we describe all of them. All the redheads. No, Blossom. I couldn't remember that one. I couldn't remember that one. But so which ones did you of that list? Like, which ones do you remember watching?
Dexter's Lab for sure. That was fun.
DD.
Yes, Didi, get out of my laboratory. And then I always remember omelette du fromage when he taught himself French because he had a French test, and then he only knew that one phrase because the computer got hung up. Like that was great. That's like the only episode I remember, but I remember watching it very much.
Yeah. So like that's the thing. They're like in your brain, and you can't even remember all of them, but you're just like, I need that. I have Johnny Bravo. Like,
yeah,
pretty moment. Like, it's just like those things that just ended up in your life.
The thing with Johnny Bravo, I feel like there was no plot to that I can remember. It was just every like 20-second skits of him going, "Hey, mama," and then getting like beat down or something, and then he's back home and flipping up his hair, and then then it's just another like transition into him seeing another like hottie and, "Hey, mama."
It's a masterclass of just simple storytelling. Like,
yeah.
I mean, it's 20 minutes long and there's limited dialogue, but it's just these characters just go through a very simple plot and arc that I really loved. It was cool. Ed, Edd and Eddy was probably my favorite.
That was a good one.
And it's so funny. Like, I was pretty sheltered as a kid, to be really honest with you. So I wasn't really bullied. But like, I vicariously lived and was bullied like through Ed and Eddy. Like just like
you
how
were the
crazy.
plank kid.
I didn't have a plank, but I definitely had a baby blanket.
Oh
that I
my
just like
God.
carried around, right? Like,
Makes so much sense now.
it makes a lot of fucking sense. But the thing is, the creator Danny Antonucci, he said that like Plank was just like a thing that he thought up in the first couple episodes, but then pretty soon, like I remember this, like Plank takes on this arc where he makes like Johnny do stuff, and it's just like it's really fucking dark.
Yeah.
And he said that came out and was discovered like as the show progressed,
Just organically.
And
That's great.
the cool thing is Ed and Eddie was the longest running and the last cartoon
Really?
to like have their finale, and it was 2009. So 10-year gap. So the first episode was 1999, and then 10 years later. But it was 69 episodes spread over those years. So like it was only
Wasn't
6
that
seasons.
many.
Yeah, it was only 6 seasons.
But it was a good one because they had all the characters, like 3 main characters, but then they had the school or whatever street, all the kids on the street too. Like you said, Johnny and Plank and the other I don't
It
know.
was Rolf. It was like
Rolf. That's
the
what it
immigrant
was.
guy. The what is it? Tanker Sisters.
The Cankers.
The Cankers. There he goes. Yeah, like those were the. I was like really afraid of girls because it's just like that's what I thought they all were like. But like no, it was cool that they just kind of made a cul-de-sac. It was essentially
the cul-de-sac.
It was essentially our generation's Little Rascals
Yeah.
animated.
That's fair. That's a fair statement.
Yeah.
Why did none of them have parents ever? There's one episode, and there's like one of them showed up, and there was a Big Brother character that always beat the crap out of the one Ed brother. Like that was it. But he was like silly. Everyone they were always afraid of him. I was like, our parents are gonna be home, and our parents never showed up. But these kids are breaking into houses and stuff.
Well, they just run around,
A wild ride.
like hopping fences into other people's like yards.
You don't know what's happening in the summer from 9 to 5 when the parents aren't home.
I had a blast. I sucked a lot of gobstoppers after that show.
The Jawbreaker.
The funny thing is, like when they put them in their mouth, they drew the ear. Do you remember that? The ear was like,
little
yeah, what is that?
It was great. You know what? Back to the Plank thing.
Yeah.
If that was around now, they would have milked the marketing crap out of that for merchandise. Like kids would have had planks walking around,
just pieces of wood.
And especially now with Fortnite, like they would have a marriage of mediums, whatever. I don't know.
We need to petition Fortnite to have an Ed and Eddie season. No, how cool would that be? Like you could get a skin Ed and Eddie or the Rolf or Plank with Johnny. Like, oh man, that'd be great. I'd like that. Well, you know what? If you think about it, especially like Powerpuff Girls, Courage the Cowardly Dog. I did see a lot of merch for Codename Kid Next Door. These things generated millions of dollars for Cartoon Network, and it was only, I think the list was like about a dozen that Cartoons had. So it was a lucrative venture, and each one ran less than a decade.
Yeah, and I wonder what kind of competition that generated with like Nickelodeon and Disney. Like, oh no, cartoons. We gotta pump it up. We gotta get rid of this kid stuff.
So that's one of the things I think I would point out from the nostalgia is like I remember Courage was like pretty violent for a cartoon.
Yeah,
like he'd jump out of his skin. Like weird stuff would happen to him. He'd get smushed. Like it was violent. And even Ed and Eddie, a lot of crap would happen to them that was really mature. Obviously Johnny Bravo, like Johnny Bravo did not age well. Let's be honest.
We can make a parallel to Looney Tunes. Like, you have Bugs Bunny and stuff, or even Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote. That was very graphic stuff,
right?
Then you got Pepe Le Pew,
Daffy Duck. Oh
yeah, Pepe Le Pew, like straight to Johnny Bravo.
Yeah, it's like they didn't learn anything, but we had to have
it's something that works,
or something. Yeah, everyone else has it wrong. But no, even Cow and Chicken was like really weird. I think kids were drawn to that. I think like outsider kids were drawn to that. Like Disney was very boxed and packaged and wrapped in a bow and had cornered the market on all the princess stuff, which was huge in the 90s. So I think Cartoon Network was just out there doing something different. And then, Nickelodeon obviously has SpongeBob and Doug and those things that are just
I feel like Doug was, around that early late 90s.
Yeah.
Like that I like that one.
Hey Arnold,
that was good.
But see, they were drawing, so it's like interesting. Like Cartoon Network was almost abstract in what they were doing. Disney was like the really wholesome stuff, and then Nickelodeon. If you look at their cartoons, a lot of them are about society and humans, and like people. They were drawn differently, Football Head and all that. But like it was cool. Now that you mention it, the three dynamos of cartoons at that time, the dynamic was different, and I really like that you pointed that out.
And it always seemed to work out when you're watching Dexter's Lab, and then Powerpuff Girls comes on, you're like, and then it would be like Codename Kids. You're like, oh, I'm not watching that because like I never got into it.
Yeah.
And then okay, let me flip over to Nickelodeon. Then okay, cool. Hey Arnold's on. I like that. Or Doug's coming on. Like, and then it would just like work out to that happened to be my sequence of shows that I enjoyed.
Nice.
Like they were never like two on at the same time.
They might have primed us for binging.
Maybe.
Because if you remember it, they would do like Ed and Eddie reruns, and they would just be the whole weekend.
Mhm.
And they would just play them all back to back, and you just sit there and watch them and just be into it, right? So now with Netflix and shows dropping on one weekend, like our generation was primed to do that by Cartoon Network.
With commercials. We
Yes,
sat
with
through
commercials. And I mean, the commercials, it's funny as an adult, like how little of kids commercials you see now.
Yeah.
But like back in the day, like boxing video, like just the toys, people playing with them and stuff.
Yeah.
And now I never see them, which is sad.
Well, you're not watching enough. I'm sure if you watched enough, or when you have kids, like, I'm sure.
And that'll be like,
You'll be
yeah, now I remember
having
why
enough.
I didn't miss this.
Yeah.
Well, man, thank you for walking down memory lane with me about cartoons.
Real quick.
Yeah.
You're welcome, by the way. But Michelle's Netflix, her nephew uses it.
Yeah.
And so occasionally, like, it'll pop up recommendations.
Yeah.
And we see he liked Paw Patrol.
Nice.
And but then we see Shark Dog. I'm like, what's Shark Dog? So I click on it, and then it goes to the intro. The intro was great. It was like the coolest thing about a shark dog that's half shark, half dog. And I listened to the intro song like 6 times. It was awesome.
Intros to cartoons are always great. Who lives in a pineapple under the sea? Like, I mean,
That's great.
They took those words and made them iconic. And what was the Angry Beavers?
That's
Was
another one.
great.
Yeah.
Just like catchy tune, and you're just like humming along.
Oh, Cat Dog.
Cat Dog. Cat Dog. Dun, dun, dun.
If we're even going back further to grotesque, Ren and Stimpy and Rocco's Modern Life.
Rocco's Modern Life.
Like
That's
those
the one
two.
I couldn't think of.
I think were pioneers. Oh, and Animaniacs.
Animaniacs.
I think those are all.
Was that on the weekend? Was that on WB?
Pinky and the Brain.
Pinky
and the Brain. That's the other one. Like I think
What
those
we
might
gonna
have
do
been
now, Brian.
the same thing we do every night. But like those were like I feel like the pioneers of 90s cartoons. Like those ones, those creators.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
The huge fandoms. Ren and Stimpy, some of the stuff that never
Yeah.
made it to the air. I mean, well documented now, but
I was gonna go get my Ren and Stimpy stuffed animals, but they're right here.
next time we'll
Next
bring
time.
them in. We'll bring them in. Well, cool. Thank you for walking down the lane with us. Thank you, Mo Taters, for walking down the lane of nostalgia with me on that one.